Well, today is a very special walk for me today. We're out walking on 10 Mile Point. And I'll tell you that in 1962, so 60 years ago, the house behind me, that's where I moved into. Brand new. Brand spanking new on 10 Mile Point. Yep, best $27,000 my dad ever spent. All the lots out here at that time were half-acre lots. So, and it was out in the middle of nowhere. They didn't even deliver out here. If you wanted to get something from the Bay or Eaton's or some of the other ones back then, Woodward's, you had to meet them over in Cabral Bay Village, set up a time. So we still had a dirt road out here. This road right here was paved, but just down a little bit farther where we went through the woods, it was gravel. Yeah, so even this place here, school teacher owns that. I guess he bought that back in about 66 or something like that. That was a $5,000 lot. When I first saw it for sale, it was $2,500, but sort of went up. Yeah, quite a place to grow up as a kid. I'll show you a bit more around the neighborhood here. About 58 years ago, this neighbor that moved in here became really, really good friends with the family, and still are. The son that was in there, he and I are still friends today. He lives in over in Delta now, but we used to spend a lot of time over in this yard. And this road here was a single lane road. Well, kind of still is, but it was gravel when we moved in. I think it's about 1963 it got paved. I'm not exactly sure. So we're going to wander down here right now to Spring Bay. Spring Bay was where we used to come and play as kids. It was a lot of fun. As you can see, they're beautiful homes. I don't know if they're all half-acre lots out here now. Could be, but I really don't know. Let's go down to Spring Bay. And there wasn't any stairs down here. You had to climb down the rocks and everything to get down here. Very, very popular place for scuba divers. They used to come out here and go in at slack tide. And if it's at slack tide, they could get in here no problem. Or they get here just before slack tide. And they go over to the point. That's 10 Mile Point right at the end over there. We'll get into that a bit later. I'll go over there in a little while. But the hours and hours and hours my buddies and I, we spent down here playing on all these rocks. Just brings back so many memories. Used to come down here and go fishing. A little bit more off the point itself, but this was such a nice beach to come during the storms. We used to come down here during the storms and we'd hide behind some of these rocks up here and the water would come crashing right over us. We were really dumb back then. Oh well, we made it. Now this is the back of my buddy's house. The family we used to hang out with on Phyllis Street, and behind our house was a place called Knutson Park out here on the point that was pretty wild back in the 60s. I thought we'd just go have a look. Used to be able to, well actually when I went to school I used to walk out the back and cut through the Knutson Park to shave a little time off the walking commute. I think this is the old trail. It's been many, many years since I've been down here. I don't know. Let's just go. Starting to look a little familiar. Yeah, but this is where I used to come to go to school. Walk down through the trees here, and I think the only real hazards we had back then were the odd cougar back here and lots of deer. But what the heck, it was a shortcut. Oh, this is after I left my place. You go up this trail for quite a while, and then you came up to here. And this is where you made your left-hand turn. And this trail here was actually a little road. Used to grab on it and go to school. So we'll go back up here. This will bring us out the top of Phyllis Street. Yeah, now I'm just coming out of Knutson Park. This is a little fire access road that takes you to the top of Phyllis Street. And this is where Phyllis Park is. And Phyllis Park basically is like 3 little parks put together. And I'll have a look at some of those. I parked up here, so it made it a little easier. But I've done my walk around now. So Phyllis Park we used to go down to as kids once again and play in the water. And just do a quick walk down there too. There we go. Never used to be a sign here. You know, all we knew it was as bush, but it's Phyllis Park. Lots of parking. And they're doing a lot of work here, trying to preserve all the natural plants that's supposed to be growing in here, and they're taking care of the invasive species and getting rid of them. But gee, I remember as a kid, this used to just seem like to go on forever, but it's not really that far. But it's a really neat little park to walk along in. And there's a couple little islands here. They're not always islands. When the tide goes out, you can walk over there, and we used to come down there at low tide and go on the islands there and fish on the far side for cod. And a couple times there we got pretty wet coming back because the tide came up and we had to wade our way through. And I explained that to Mum when we got home. Now I walked back up the top of that fire access road, and we're on Arbutus right now. This used to be all bush up here. And spent most of our summers up here wandering around in the bush. And you know, we got 2 groups of kids, anywhere from 10 to 13 years old, grab our BB guns and pellet guns and head up here. And right here is where the first gravel quarry was. But we used to like to play in the big gravel quarry just up around the corner, which is once again all built up. And we used to go up there, and I know what you're thinking, fellas. You're thinking, boy, they're out there shooting small animals and birds. No, we'd never do that. We did the responsible thing. We take one group to one side of the quarry, the other group to the other side of the quarry, and we shoot at each other. Yep. Still alive. Unbelievable. All right, this is where the little quarry was. Right where this place is. And we used to come up here and just sit and look at the view. Even at 12 years old, we could appreciate it. I'll show you what I mean. They put a lookout up here. It's still Phyllis Park. They've got this lookout. I know, let's go look out. Just over there is where Spring Bay was, and there's 10 Mile Point. We're gonna go there next. Well, yeah, we might as well go there next. Have a look. Now we're out on the point. And this is where my dad and I used to come and spin cast. Back when there wasn't so many regulations. Basically, they still had a limit on salmon of 4, but you could take any species as long as they were over 12 inches. I think lingcod back then was 23 inches. No one fished halibut back then, but that's Spring Bay over there. It got its name from all the spring salmon that used to hang out in here. And also every once in a while you got a treat when the killer whales would come by, and they come right past the point here, and they come in really close, especially if the feed was in here, like the salmon are in close to the shore, they come right in along the coastline. San Juan Island over there, of course, that's the United States. I think we already discovered that. 18 miles across, I believe. Now a little bit of the checkered past of 10 Mile Point. Well, this is Smuggler's Cove. Quite a history here. Goes back to the 1880s or 60s, 1860s. They've had history back to then where people were smuggling liquor across to the United States and for distribution down through Puget Sound. And back in the 1880s, it was opium. Opium was the big product that was coming out of here then. And then it was actually people. They were smuggling people that were going down to the California to be in the gold rush. They needed more people down there, and they were smuggling people out back then. Then it sort of calmed down to about the 1930s, and then it was the rum runners were working out here when Prohibition kicked in the States. And right where we're standing on this beach, the rum used to just flow across to the United States. Yeah, so then it quietened down for a little while, and then the last time when the marijuana started coming through BC, that was the last big bust down here, was back in 2003, when kayakers were smuggling up to $120,000 in kayaks worth of BC bud across to our neighbors down there in the United States. So quite a history out here on Smuggler's Cove. Beautiful spot. Spent a lot of time down here as a kid too, but we used to just go fishing. Yep. All right, well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.